Hey there, amazing one. How are you? So it's Jackie here. I saw an event last week that I wanted to speak to because it really it struck me. It was a bit of an aha moment for me because it made me reflect and realize that what I had just seen in this exchange between two people, I had seen, I don't know how many times, I've lost count how many times it'd be in the thousands that I've seen this exact scenario come up in people's sessions, and how I kind of feel like that it has become more like we're reaching a crescendo. It's becoming more of an issue in the last 3 years. And then so we can address this individually. We can really do effective, amazing work on this kind of thing in sessions, one-on-one. We can also do amazing work in group sessions, which I do a lot of. But one of the best ways to actually start turning this around is by talking about it and by having the awareness of what this is and what you can do. The event that I saw was between two people, and one person was alluding to or kind of sharing something that they really resonated with. It was something that they were working towards, a goal. Lots of people have different words for this, right? A goal, although that can be a nice button pushing word for people. Goal, a dream, something you're trying to attract towards you, something you're trying to manifest, a wish. So I'm just going to call it a goal, okay? So we had this person who, it was very obvious that they had a goal in mind and that they were working towards it. And they said something that alluded to the goal. They didn't say it out directly, but they said something that alluded to the goal. And the other person that was with them looked at them directly in the eye, and kind of this smirk came over their face, and they laughed, and they said, you're kidding. That won't happen. Do you think that'll happen? That won't happen. And that struck me, because in that moment I'm seeing so many things playing out right there and then. I saw the energy drop in this person was having this goal, who had this goal. I literally could feel and see the energy drop. I could see their shoulders drop, their whole body just kind of dropped, where there was some part of them that really was affected by that and that really took that personally. So I knew that it had created an impression. And for the other person who had kind of delivered those words, which basically says, I don't believe in you. Like, you're joking. That's a joke. And what I see is somebody with their own sets of belief systems, their own insecurities. And I see a projection happening, and I see a potential invasive process going on for the other person. So in a in a in a in an I was going to say an ideal world, but that's not really it. When we talk about the true nature, the natural consciousness of human beings, what does that mean? That means how a human being is meant to naturally exist and express themselves as an individual, but also within part of the collective group. Not just with humans, but how they are part of the collective group for the planet, for the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, so on and so forth. So our true nature, people get really confused about this, because often people think that people's true nature is to be in battle and to be defensive or to ruin each other or it's just really fascinating how we're so confused by this often. A human being's true nature ultimately is love. And then love expresses itself in a million different ways. Okay. But it can come through in our behaviors and the words that we use and the energy that we exchange with the world around us as kindness and support. And so when we're talking about people's true nature, humans' true nature, this is what we're designed to be naturally, with really very little effort. But we're so far away from that as a human species. We're really, really far away from that. And I'm hopeful, and what I'm seeing is that we are slowly moving towards, because we are going through this huge, probably, as you know, huge evolutionary process where a lot of people are coming into a clarity of awareness as to what their truth is in the world and how they would like to see that and how they can change that, in amongst a whole lot of other different things. So I am seeing and I am hopeful that we are shifting quite significantly and coming back into alignment, or coming into alignment with what our true nature is, what our natural consciousness expression is. And so in that exchange of person to person or person to group of people, where you have somebody that would like to share one of their goals, one of their dreams, one of their wishes, if we were all in our true nature, what would be happening in that moment is you wouldn't have somebody that was scared or fearful of sharing their goals, because in your true nature, you accept each other for the way that you are. You support each other for the way that you are, because we're nothing but kindness and love to one another. That's when we're in our true nature. So in a scenario like that, you wouldn't have somebody that was scared. You would have somebody that would share openly what their goal is. And the way that that would be received by the people around them is that the people would cheer for them, would advocate for them, would absolutely say things like, yes, I can see you doing that. I can see that that's important to you. What a wonderful thing for you. Yeah. Because also in our true nature, we are so close to our intuition and in our instincts. When we are in our true nature, we know in that moment that anything's possible, that our potential is limited by our belief systems, primarily by our belief systems, and by our environment and by some other things. One of those things I want to talk about. So we don't have that right now. We don't have that right now. And what I'm going to suggest is, if you have goals, that the most loving and kind and healthy boundaried thing that you can do for yourself, in my opinion, from what I've seen in clinical practice over 17 plus years, is that I would reserve it. I would reserve your goal that you are working towards achieving and manifesting to yourself. That would be my suggestion, because we are not there yet where we are close to or living as, from our true nature. We're not there. So it means then that you're more often than not going to have an experience like what I'm going to talk about in a moment, okay? So I would suggest that you withhold it, because you want to not only reserve it, but you want to protect it, but protect it in a very healthy way, not in a super defensive way. If you have somebody around you and you are absolutely certain, with no question whatsoever, that if you were to share that goal, your goal, with that person, if you are certain that they will support you, that they will absolutely advocate for you, that they will cheerleader you to the end, then absolutely share it with them. That's a great experience. That's a great co-relationship to have. And you're not doing that because you want to be, and this is important, you're not doing that. You don't want to share your goals with somebody because you want them to say, yes, I believe in you, because you're looking for that acceptance, because you're looking for that belonging, because you're looking for that validation. That is your own issues. That's just something to be aware of and also to look at. But if you can share that because it's part of your relationship and part of the way that you would just exchange with one another and share with one another, then by all means go for it. Because then you do that for each other. You absolutely would do that for each other, champion each other. But only do that if you know for sure that the other person is going to be able to do that for you. If there's any doubt whatsoever that they are not going to want to project their own stuff towards you, their own insecurities, their own beliefs, then don't do it. So this is what's happening in this moment. And this comes up a lot in sessions. It depends what we're working with for a client, but this has come up so many times. And essentially what we have here is we have two things that are going on. You have the person that has the goal who is in some way, shape or form, they're sharing that they have a goal. And then you have this other person who has got their own belief systems, their own insecurities, their own behaviors. They've got their own conditioning. They've got their own information that comes down through the generational lines that gets triggered when you share one of your dreams, one of your goals. And when it gets triggered, what it does is they project. More often than not, they don't realize they're consciously doing this in the moment. So a lot of projections are unconscious, but it happens all the time. And I can guarantee that you have projected your own belief systems at some point in time. We all have. It's where we are right now. So we see this happen all the time where you've got somebody who projects their own belief system towards somebody else. And that other person then actually receives that belief system. So we have very specific words for this that we use to be able to clarify it with a person's innate wisdom when it comes up as a priority that we need to address this, because this is a big deal. It's a really big deal. When somebody else's belief about what you can or can't achieve, or whether it's foolish or whether it's outlandish or whether it's ridiculous or whatever it is, right? Not only does it's almost like an infection where that projection is now become an infection and it's invasive to your entire body mind complex. And that is more than enough that it is able to mess with your own mind, interfere with your own mind and your own belief systems, your own ability. So the process that you're in trying to achieve this goal, it has the ability to interfere with that and even cause doubt or sabotage the whole process. It can cause you to feel really low. It can mess with your chemistry. So it becomes very, very invasive and can and will affect pretty much every level of your body-mind complex. And when it becomes invasive to you, a lot of people don't realize what has even happened. But it comes up, this concept comes up all the time in people sessions that, and it doesn't even have to have been just a recent thing. You can have this kind of we call them a matrix. You can have this kind of invasive matrix come up in a session, and it was an invasive matrix that was projected from a parent or from a teacher or from a co-worker much earlier in life, and it has become invasive to you as a person, and has been able to affect the way that you do things, the way that you're trying to do things for the rest of your life. And I'm just giving you one concept around achieving goals, but this can happen for a whole lot of other different reasons, not even just goals. Okay. So one of the interesting things about this is that when we're going through and we're doing the session and your own innate wisdom brings this priority up and says, hey, we're having an invasive matrix here, and I'm going to use the scenario that we're talking about today. And it's come up because remember the time you talked about the goal that you had your eyes set on, and it really triggered within somebody else their own disbelief in their own ability to be able to do that, and they projected it towards you. Well, we need to find where that is, because when it becomes invasive to you, a matrix looks to kind of like anchor into the body-mind complex somewhere, and it can establish itself anywhere, right? It can establish itself in the heart region, in the head, in the spine, in and around an organ, anywhere, okay? And then what that matrix does is, depending on the type of matrix, depending on where it's projected from, who it's projected from, what was the driving reasons of the projection, like what is the belief system that drives this? Right? We will need to find out information about this. We'll need to find out, and really, because this is what innate wants us to do, is find out the finer details about the matrix. The more we know, the more we're armed with knowledge, the better our ability to be able to completely dismantle this matrix and remove it for good. And it also then brings to your awareness this whole issue. And it helps you to learn. It really helps you to learn to have a better awareness on the insecurities and the belief systems that we can carry as human beings, and how we can unknowingly project these belief systems onto another person, and that can become invasive, often does become invasive to them. And then that will cause an issue for them. So when we're addressing this in a session, not only can we, completely remove it and disassemble it, for want of a better word, within the person that it's become invasive to, but we're also usually going to make it not known, but it's a matrix within that other person, so we can't treat them. I don't have permission to treat them, but it severs all those connections and entanglements between you and them. And that is the beautiful thing about consciousness-based healthcare, is that because we're working on every level of the body-mind complex, we can do that. So this concept of an invasive matrix comes up way more than what you would think. And I've seen it escalate as a priority coming up people's sessions a lot more than usual over the past 3 years. And I mean steeply more. And I think there's several reasons for that, but one of the reasons is the more of an issue it becomes, the more it becomes aware to us, and it's in our face, and we become aware of what the issues are around it, and then we have the opportunity to work on it and to make changes for that. So here's my suggestion, right? And I want you to know also, hopefully the clients who have been with me for a long time know this already, but when you come to be in my space and I'm here facilitating for you, I will champion you to the absolute end. And it doesn't matter what you have your sights set on or what your goal is. I absolutely understand you have the potential to do absolutely anything in the whole world that you want to do. So I have your back. You can tell me whatever, and I'm just going to champion you to the end. And I think that's where we need to get a lot better at as human beings. When somebody shares a goal with you, no matter who it is, be aware of your own belief systems that can come up in that moment, because they're yours. They're nobody else's. It's not because of anybody else. It's yours. So be aware, because that's the perfect time that your subconscious mind is going to show them to you. Your own fears, your own insecurities, your own lack of belief is going to come up, right? And they were probably taught to you, and they were probably conditioned to you, and you've had lots of experiences of why they're there. But this is when it's going to come up. The subconscious mind gets really activated in these moments when people are sharing these goals with you. And the subconscious mind is likely to come up and say, you can't do that. We can't do that. You can't do that. That's not possible. So be really aware of A, what comes up for you in that moment. Then be very aware of your next step, because your next step should be something that hopefully conveys a belief in that person or helps them to believe in themselves. And even if it's something simple, like you can just look them dead in the eye and say, I absolutely believe that you can do that, right? Find something that is truthful for you that you can say to that person, that not only can help them to become really well aligned to their goal or stay well aligned to their goal, but also champion them in some way, okay? You don't have to lie. Find a way to be truthful about it. And I would challenge you in saying that you can find a way to be very truthful about that and be championing somebody at the same time. And then if you are somebody that has a goal, be very careful who you're sharing it with. Remember I said, if you're 100% sure that they're going to champion you, and I mean 100% sure, no question, then absolutely go ahead and do that. But here's something that I want to help you to get better at, is absolutely having a unwavering belief in yourself that you can and will achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. Because in those small instances where you go to share a goal with somebody and you absolutely believe that the person that you're sharing it with has your back 100% and will champion you, and let's just say that for whatever reason they don't, and they laugh and they say, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard you come out with. You have to be so clear and fortified within yourself that it doesn't matter if somebody does that or says that, right? And this is the point that I'm hoping to help you to get to. And it's no different to somebody coming up to you and saying, you are a bunny rabbit. I know you don't believe this, but you are not a human, you're a bunny rabbit. If I came up to you and said, look, I know you don't believe me, but you've got to take it from me because I know best. You're a bunny rabbit. You would be like, okay. So no, not bunny rabbit. And I'm really okay with knowing who I am, and thanks very much. And you would just stay the course. You wouldn't worry about it. It's not even a thing that you would worry about. You would not sit there and argue with me, Jackie, this is stupid. Why would you call me a bunny rabbit? I'm not a bloody bunny rabbit, right? You wouldn't argue it with me. You then wouldn't leave the conversation and go to say somebody else, can you believe she called me a bunny rabbit? Like, oh my God, I'm not a bunny rabbit, right? It wouldn't happen. So you would not even spend a few seconds even worrying about it. You'd shake it off. You'd be moving on already, and you'd be like, she called me a bunny rabbit. Okay. That's to the point where we want to get to, where you and what it is, the course that you're on, the path that you want to achieve, the goals that you want to achieve. I want to get you to the point where if somebody comes to you and says your goals are like bunny rabbits, that you're just going to say, okay, whatever. Right? There are lots of parts of you. There are major parts of you, systems that are designed to not only hold this clarity, but hold these very, very healthy, strong boundaries that are part of that ability, that are part of that part of you that would give you the ability to be able to stay clear and stay true to yourself and stay full the course, right? Stay on your goals and not getting caught up in somebody else's belief systems, not getting dragged out into somebody else's insecurities that they're projecting onto you. And that's another way that we can do a lot of work on this, is by working on all those parts of you that are designed to have very strong, healthy boundaries and to filter out the parts that are not meant to circulate within you, that are not meant to come in through your sensory system and then become a part of the fabric of who you are. And there are lots of different parts of you that is designed to do that job very, very well, is filter out other people's BS. Okay. For majority of people, those systems are not set up correctly. You're not aware of those systems. And so they do let it in. They do let it in. And that's part of the mechanism of how other people's belief systems and their own projections can become so invasive to you. So I want to let you know that if this has happened to you in the past, and if there is an invasive matrix that then would be affecting you, is that we can do a lot of immediate, very effective, phenomenal work on this to identify and remove matrices and to really support you and help you to become very strong and fortified and clear in who you are and what you want to do. So I want to let you know that that is totally available for you. And my suggestion going forward is be very protective of your goals and who you share them with, and that it's actually one of the most self-caring, loving things that you can do, because you're just saying, I recognize and realize that where we are in the world right now, us as a human species, we don't have the emotional wisdom. We're not grown up enough yet to be able to completely support and advocate for each other. We're not in our true nature yet. So you can do that by being that. You can learn to be in your true nature. If majority of people just started to learn this, we would rapidly transform very, very quickly. All right. So hopefully what I've given you enough juicy bits of information today that it can really help you make some decisions moving forward and give you some strength to be able to move forward and achieve your goals. And know that if you have had experiences in the past, and if you want to learn how to be stronger and be more fortified in moving forward, there is a lot of really, really great ways that we can do that for you. We just need to, in a session, ask your innate wisdom, what is the most important thing that we need to address around that today? Okay. If you have any questions, pop it down into the comments. If you've had any aha moments or revelations from this, pop it down into the comments. And if you do want to do some work together, or if you want to see if we would be a good fit for each other, then just hop over onto the website and there's loads of information on there. Okay. Ultimately, what's one of our goals here? One of our goals here is to learn how to tread your own path. Find a way to tread your own path in life that is authentic and right for you. Okay. Look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.